If you had told me in the winter following the 2017 or really the 2018 seasons that just a few years later, a non-insignificant portion of Yankees fans would want to trade Aaron Judge, I would have said that you are out of your mind. You've lost it. But all winter, I read tweets and comments in forums from Yankees fans who think that the Yankees should just get rid of Aaron Judge. I want to make one thing clear. When healthy, and granted, he's been unhealthy a lot. Some of that is freak injuries. He got hit by a pitch. He punctured his lung diving for a ball. But when healthy, nobody is as dangerous as Aaron Judge in all of baseball, with the possible exception of Mike Trout. And not only that, Aaron Judge is a great defender. Not a good defender. Not a serviceable right fielder. He is an outstanding right fielder. In 2019, he led the American League in defensive runs saved, despite only playing in 102 games. And in 2020, he was just one defensive run saved behind his understudy, Clint Frazier, for 6th. In 2020, Aaron Judge appeared in just 28 games and had what looked like, to the casual observer, a down year. But he still had a phenomenal 891 OPS and a ridiculous 142 OPS plus, meaning that he was 42% better than league average. His walks were way down, and that's concerning. His on-base percentage fell to .336, down from .422 during his rookie season of 2017. His slugging percentage, though, actually went up from the previous 2 years. And when he went on the injured list with a calf injury on August 11th, after just 17 games, he was batting .290, leading the league in home runs with 9 in just 62 at-bats, and he had an otherworldly 1.101 OPS. Aaron Judge, when healthy, is quite simply unstoppable. And I don't believe he was ever truly healthy after 2 stints on the injured list. He came back for 1 game, you might remember, picked up a base hit, went 1 for 3, and then spent another 20 days on the injured list. After coming back for the second time, he had just 7 hits over his final 36 at-bats, posting a 194 average and no home runs, though he did hit a few home runs in the postseason. I invited Patrick Hennessy of Unhinged Yankees to talk about what we can expect from Aaron Judge in 2021 and whether or not he's going to be able to stay healthy. How confident are you in Aaron Judge playing, I don't know, maybe 145 games this year?
I'm going to be honest. I go into every season with optimism as far as Aaron Judge goes. But last season, that kind of changed after he started off the season red hot and then got injured. Then the optimism kind of turned into pessimism a little bit. But once again, I'm going into the season optimistic about Aaron Judge. I'm going to say that I think he does play over 145 games.
Yeah, I'd say I'm usually in the same boat where I'm optimistic going into the season. Last year when he came back and played 1 game, you remember he came back from that calf injury. He played 1 game and He got hurt again.
In Atlanta, I think.
He comes back and hits 194 over the final couple weeks. I don't think he was really healthy even when he came back. He played okay in the postseason. He had 3 home runs, but he wasn't the Judge we're used to, and he definitely wasn't the Judge that we saw against like the Red Sox when he was in the middle of that streak, where he was the best hitter in baseball for probably the first 3 weeks of the year. And, you know, they might have to give Judge and Stanton 1 or 2 days off a week to keep them healthy for the whole season.
I think the Yankees are going to be extremely cautious with these guys. And I think that's the main reason why they have so much outfield depth going into this year. I mean, they acquired Greg Allen. Now they acquired Jay Bruce. They might even bring back Brett Gardner along with Mike Tauchman. I believe Socrates Brito is an outfielder too, Estevan Florio. They have a bunch of outfield options that they could use so that they could possibly give Judge, Hicks, Stanton, these guys days off throughout the season, just because they want to make sure that these guys can remain healthy. Also, we saw that Stanton and Judge are doing yoga too. So, I mean, this is a sign that possibly maybe 2020 was somewhat of a wake-up call, and the Yankees realized that 2019 with all the injuries wasn't just a fluke.
You know, I've been thinking about it, and there's something about these guys where maybe it's part of the Yankees scouting philosophy or whatever to pick the most physically abnormal human beings, like the people who hit the ball the hardest, who have the quickest bat speed, who, you know, do these unbelievable feats. But there might be something about pushing the human body to the limit that causes it to break down more. Do you think that Judge and Stanton would ever consider backing off a little bit, maybe running at 70% just to keep themselves healthy? Or do you think that it's part of, what makes these guys what they are, is that mental drive to go above and beyond in any given situation to try and just beat you every single day?
I think that kind of messes with your mentality a little bit. It might affect them in the box just because their mind isn't focused on just performing well. Their mind is now focused on trying to avoid injury at all costs. So you kind of don't want to change their mental philosophy, I guess. But then again, that's also just my opinion. I could definitely see though, Judge in a game against the Orioles in the middle of June, if there is a ball that's hitting the infield and he's running to first base, we might not see him running at 150% like it was game 5 of the ALDS. It's very realistic, just because, like I mentioned before, I think these guys are well aware of the fact that injuries can happen, right? Judge is a veteran of injuries now. He knows how often they happen, and with the snap of a finger, he could be out for the year. So, listen, I think this season he's going to be very cautious, and maybe he does consider maybe running at 70% throughout the season.
It's because it's hard for professional athletes to just switch it off, to tone it down. I think these guys are just going to go full out, and the Yankees are just going to have to be responsible for giving them the right training program to stay healthy. And it ultimately comes down to the trainers. These guys are athletes. There's no reason that, somebody like Shaquille O'Neal should be able to play into his 40s and not get hurt and play, running up and down the court constantly, as opposed to a guy who, stands in right field or stands, to hit 3 times a game and maybe has to run a little bit. You could make the case that maybe they should be doing more. Maybe they should be doing more running. Maybe they should be doing more sprints. Maybe Giancarlo Stanton should take fly balls in the outfield during batting practice. They used to call it playing it live. Go out there and pretend like it's a game if the ball's hit to you. And maybe that keeps you used to running around. If you watch Ichiro Suzuki, or, he doesn't play anymore, but whenever he was not actively involved in an at-bat or in a play in the field, he was always stretching. He was bending down to touch his toes. He was leaning side to side. Even when he was hitting, he would step out and squat down, you remember, and just kind of move his torso. And how many times did Ichiro Suzuki pull an oblique or a hamstring or a calf? You could probably count it on one hand if he ever did. Judge and Stanton, instead of trying to be superhuman, they need to focus on complementing each other, right? Take some of the load off of the other. You don't have to be the big man in the lineup because there's 2 of you. If you're feeling like you're worn out or whatever, speak up, take a day off. If you are new to the channel, here's a rundown of what you'll find here this season. Pre-game shows and post-game reactions from most Yankees games. I also do a podcast, 15 to 20 minutes if it's solo, 30 to 45 if I have a guest. Also prospects, rumors, and breakdowns. And don't miss the Martian Tracker, where I will post periodic updates of the Yankees' #1 prospect, Jason Dominguez, as he makes his way to the major leagues. Please like and subscribe. It helps other Yankees fans find the channel. I'll see you next time.